we have our 4T Connect, and we have the Sunfire platform on there for Medicare, and it's an awesome quoting software because it allows you to put the prescriptions in, and it saves it for your clients, so you don't have to keep redoing it. Either throughout the open enrollment, you talk to your client, they want to think things over, you call them back. Well, it'll save their prescriptions, and then also for next year, if you got the prescriptions in now, next year you just give them a call back, say, hey, I've got these 6 prescriptions. Are you still taking the same ones? So for our agents, there's a few agents that are on this webinar that I met through a Facebook page. So I invited them to hop on today to learn a little about our strategy on mailers and our phone script. Hopefully create some value there. But we are 4T brokerage, national FMO. And then down at the bottom of the page, for our agents that are contracted with us, we have the 4T Connect. Our 4T Connect is our agent portal where we have our quoting software. We have all of our carrier resources, all of our Medicare summary of benefits, and then we also have that Simply Enroll platform. So just make sure those of you who have not played around with it, get on there, check out the Simply Enroll. It will save you a ton of time during open enrollment. So guys, just so you know, I have not done this training as a webinar. I've done this face-to-face with some of my agents. And just so you know, on our T65 mailers, we have a couple agents in-house that we started this a couple years ago, and what I told them is I will give them a 1,000-piece mailer every single month, and using my strategy, once those people start turning 65, they should start writing 5 to 8 applications every single month based off of our structure, our training, our scripts, and all those different things. So anyway, so my business reply card strategy, many of you have heard this before, but the strategy, we get a higher rate of return. When we do our response cards, we're typically, well, 2018, we had a 3.76% return on our business reply card. And in 2019, we had a 3.96% return rate. I don't know what it is for 2020. I'll figure it out at the end of the year. But the strategy is we send out mailers to people that are turning 65, 8 to 12 months out. Because what's happening is they're getting bombarded. When they turn 64 and a half, they are getting phone calls, 20 phone calls a week. They're getting mailers from other agents. They're getting call centers. They get the carriers themselves. And here's something I saved on my phone that it's 20 seconds long. And I'm going to play it for you guys so you can hear this, because this is a testament as to why we do what we do.
Hi, Sonny. This is Debbie Jacobson, 248-842-4076. And is it common to be getting so many calls on Medicare? We signed up, Dave and I signed up with you with Priority Health, blah, 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 have our Medicare card, but I must get 10 calls a day. Just let me know.
So that was one of my clients that when they turned 64, it wasn't even 64 and a half, it was after that. She started getting a ton of phone calls. And guys, if someone's getting a ton of phone calls, do you think they're going to take your phone call? Probably not. But when someone's turning 64, they've thought about Medicare. They know that in the next year, they have to make that decision. And when they go out to coffee with their friends and in their circle of influence, it comes up in conversation. And Medicare is confusing. And so they're thinking about it. So if you send them a postcard when they are 8, 9, 10, up to a year out from turning 65, they're going to send the card back in the mail because they're interested. That's why we get such a huge rate of return, is because they are curious at what's going on, and they need help, and they haven't been bombarded yet. So having that strategy is going to get you a higher rate of return. So we've had some months where we've got, I think, over 7% return, and then I've had some months where I got less than right at 0.5% return. But over a consistent period of time, close to 4% return. And like I said, at 64 and a half, that's when they start getting bombarded with agents that purchased lists of people turning 65. Now, these agents are typically trying to sell them Medicare supplements over the phone. And shame on some of the carriers, because the carriers will, not all, but some of them will actually accept an application dated 5 months out, and they'll just wait until the client's Part B is effective, and then they will go through and process the application. Whereas most of us know that 3 months out is when we're doing the application to be compliant. So part of the reason too with the T65 mailer, you have a higher rate of return. If you're doing a mailer during AEP, you're competing with a lot of agents, and typically the rate of return is typically 1.5%. You might get 2%. And most of you on this call today know about our leads that we're doing. We're offering leads at a cost, a fixed cost. You only pay for what you get. We'll talk about that later. But what I did with that is I assumed the risk, because I know that some mailers get a higher rate of return, and it ends up averaging out to a certain dollar amount. But if that return is lower, you're only paying for the leads you get. I'm eating the loss. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, reach out to me and I'll let you know. So typically a 1,000-piece mailer runs about $535. And if it's between 8 and 12 months out, you're getting 3.5% average return. And typically your closing rate should be about 20%. So off of 35 leads coming in, you should have about 7 sales, which equals about $3,500 in commission. So for every $535 you're investing, you should have $3,500 in commissions coming back. And that's not including any ancillary products you sell, whether it's Aetna, GTL, UNL, Life Secure. Those are going to add another $200 to $300 of commissions. So you see, my logic is you start now with the advertising and building up that funnel. And I know it takes 6-7 months for that money to start coming in, but you're spending $500, making over $3,500 in commissions. The return on that is so much greater than doing a lead during AEP on someone who's already in Medicare. So if you do the marketing, or you do the numbers on here, if you do 2,000 pieces, you should be getting 10 to 14 sales a month. 4,000 pieces, yep, that's going to cost you just over $2,100 or maybe $2,200 a month. But you should be down the road getting 20 to 28 sales off of that. And again, I have so many agents that ask me, how can I write 200 apps a year? How, all these people out there, if you go to some of these Medicare Facebook pages, you've got agents writing 50 apps a month. How do they do it? And they talk to you. It's all about business reply cards. It's Facebook ads. But you're not getting that for free. You've got to invest. Adam, you and I have had this conversation before. If you can't afford $1,000, $2,000 a month, start spending $500 now. And when your commissions start coming in 7 or 8 months, and you're getting at $3,500, $4,000, then take half of that, invest $2,000 a month, and then 7, 8 months later, you're going to be getting $10,000 a month in commissions. Start small, but you've got to be consistent, knowing that numbers don't lie. You have to stick with the systems. So then down here, if you look, for every 100 clients you have on Medicare Advantage plans, your residual income is $27,000 a year. And you all know, you've heard it before, you hear me preaching it, Medicare clients need very little interaction throughout the year to have a high retention rate. I think the statistics are less than 5% of Medicare beneficiaries move their policies year after year. So if you have less than 5%, even if you didn't do anything with your clients and you got 100 clients and you lose 5 of them, don't want to lose it, but that's really not that big on attrition. So if you get 1,000 clients and you can build it up over the next 4 or 5 years by spending some time and money now, you wake up to $270,000 of residual income with very little maintenance afterwards. How many of you wouldn't mind having $270,000 of residual income every year? I don't think many of you would mind that. Any questions at this point so far?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
My name's John Billadu. I do a lot of these T65 mailers, and I do get a fair amount of response back. The biggest issue I have is getting these people to either A, answer the phone, or those that do say, I didn't fill anything out. And you're like, dude, I'm looking at the card that you filled out. I can tell you when your birthday is. I can tell you what your wife's birthday. They're like, I didn't fill anything out. Don't bother me. Like,
Right.
what do you do in that position? I run into that constantly.
Okay, so yes, absolutely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down a little bit. I have my phone script that I can email you. I'll go through what I say on my phone script, which gets me a pretty decent response. So that's a good question, and then that's the frustrating part. John, I've got a lot of agents that I've recruited because I do a lot of training. I like to do one-on-one training. I like to do phone training. My history, everybody else knows this. I started in the final expense industry, and I went from an agent all the way up to owning my own agency in Baltimore for a couple of years. Had about 100 agents working for me, and I created all the phone scripts and did a lot of training. And there's just certain techniques that you've probably heard, you've probably done, and hopefully after this will help you get a better response.
I appreciate that because it is incredibly frustrating.
Absolutely. You spend all that money. And that's the thing too, is you know, I tell agents, well, if I give you 50 leads, what are you going to do with those leads? You're going to call them, but if you don't know what to do, you're going to waste a lot of money. And then one of my agents on here, and I'll let them holler if they want to say, hey, that was me, but told me up front that, they got the leads that we ordered with them, and he paid for the leads, but he told me that the time that phone was a 20,000 pound phone because didn't know what to say. So you've got to practice your phone script. You've got to get good at it. You've got to perfect your craft. And hopefully, like I said, this will help out. So the goal of when you're calling these clients is education. So you want to let them know why you're calling. And it's just to get them to start thinking about what's going to happen. Because a lot of times, John, when I was calling my leads, I couldn't. They're like, no, I'm all set. I sent that back in. I don't know why I did it, but if you can get them to talk and have them start the conversation, it's key. So what I want to relate to these people when I'm on the phone is, one is how to enroll in Part B. Do you need to enroll in Part D? So these are things I'm throwing out there to get them thinking about it. What is Part D? And you probably heard that there's a penalty if you don't have Part D. What's the difference between Medicare Supplements and Medicare Advantage Plan? I want to let them know when I'm on the phone with them that, hey, there's no difference in price whether you talk to me, 25 other agents, or if you were to call the carrier directly. And I asked them, I was like, hey, Jim Smith, if you were to call Blue Cross and Blue Shield and talk to them about their Medicare Advantage plans, do you think they're going to compare that to an Aetna plan or a United Healthcare plan, or do you think they're going to find the best Blue Cross? Well, obviously they're going to find the best Blue Cross. Exactly. That's why you don't want to call the carrier. And so you have to sell yourself as being an educator and that you have a lot of carriers that you represent. And then when I'm on the phone with them, I also let them know in my conversation, hey, I can't even sell you anything. Because remember, we're contacting them 8 to 12 months out before they turn 65. And then what we tell them is, hey, look, you know what? Our goal is to educate you. We want to either virtually meet with you or meet with you in person. We want to educate you about all these different things. And just so you know, when we meet with you, there's no pressure at any level because I legally can't even sell you anything. All I want to do is I want to educate you. And my hope is once you understand that all things equal with carriers and products, you've got an agent that's not there just for one-time sale. I'm here to be your agent to help you find the right plan. I'm the agent that here is going to help you with any billing issues. I'm the agent that's going to be here throughout the year when you have any questions, any concerns, any problems. Okay, so here's my phone script going into it. All right, so when the phone's ringing, I get them to answer. I said, hi, may I speak to Jim? Hey, hi, Jim. My name is Sonny with the Gurney Agency over here in Auburn Hills. And John, just so you know, most of our agents do localized marketing. They don't do, 20 different states. But I tell people that, if I'm doing in my area, I'm with the Gurney Agency over in Auburn Hills. Recently, you mailed back a pink postcard requesting more information about Medicare. Do you remember that card? It would have been within the past couple weeks. That's setting them up, John. That's setting them up for them to say yes or no. It doesn't matter what their answer is. Well, John, I've got that card here in front of me, and I just need to verify some information on it. I have the spelling of your last name as boom, and I've got your address here as boom, and your date of birth is this, and then I've got your wife's date of birth is this. Is that correct? Okay, great. Well, the reason for my call today, so John, what I just did there is I acknowledged that I have the card there. I didn't give them an opportunity to say I didn't send that card back because that one question is, do you remember that card? Would have been a couple weeks ago. So even if they say no, I would have been, okay, great. Well, I've got the card here in front of me and I just keep moving on past that. Have you tried that? Does that make sense? Do you think that might give you better results?
At this point, I'm willing to try just about anything, man.
Okay, so I would say try that. You're
Yeah.
having a casual conversation with them. And what I would recommend for any of you that has the script, you've got to do this in the mirror 20 times. You've got to call your spouse, significant other, child. Heck, if I'm free, give me a call. I'll role play with you because you just have to have the confidence that what you have is a benefit for them. So, well, I've got the card here in front of me. Is that correct? They're going to say yes because it's correct. Okay, well, the reason for my call today is because you sent this card back in the mail requesting information about Medicare. All I wanted to do is answer some of your questions or point you in the right direction. Stop there. That is when I did final expense, all we did is a lot of marketing and we did a ton of lead cards. Our agency was generating probably 100,000 mailers a year for our agents. And so I would work on helping agents set up appointments because one of the things that I found for myself is I was not the top salesperson, meaning if I was in a house, I was going to get my 30%, and that was the average. But there were some agents that, man, they got a 50, 60% closing ratio because they were good at beating up the customer. They were good at overcoming objections. They could take a no, they could take I want to think about it, they could take a I'm not sure if I need this, and they could turn that into a yes. I can't. So what I did is I got good at overcoming the objections before I got them. And I got really good on the phone because I realized that if I couldn't get an appointment, I'm not doing a presentation, I've got no chance of making any money. So when I put it out there that all I want to do is just answer some of your questions and point you in the right direction. It's very non-intrusive. I'm just saying, want to answer your questions. If I can't help you, I'll tell you where to go. And it takes away that feeling that I'm a salesperson and I'm an advocate for them. So that's where I just stop and pause for a second, and like 2 seconds. That silence is golden. Then what I do is from there I say, now I see that you're not turning 65 until May of next year. Are there any specific questions that you have about Medicare? Does anybody know what their answer is that when I ask, do you have any questions about Medicare? I'll tell you. Every single time it goes like this. No, I don't really have any specific questions right now. I was just curious. Well, actually, I have a question. What about, guys, every single time that I ask it that, I was like, so do you have any specific questions about Medicare? They always say no because they put their defenses up. And then, they start thinking about like, well, actually, yeah, I do have a question. Do I need Part B or how do I enroll? When do I enroll? And if you get to a point where they say, nope, I don't have any questions, thanks for calling, then I would be ready to say, well, do you have any questions about how to apply for Medicare? Do you have any questions about when to apply or if you need to apply? Do you have any questions about the penalties? So I would throw out some instigating questions or comments. But the reality is once you ask them, do you have any questions? It's just they say no, and then boom, they ask one question. If they ask one question, guess what? You got them. You got them for as long as they're willing to give you. Now, when you start talking, they may say, hey, I got a quick question. I've only got 5 minutes to talk, but that's okay because you can say a lot of things in 5 minutes. So at that point there, I've given some guidelines. But John, this part here, right in the beginning of this phone script, this is the golden ticket. You just got to practice this and perfect it. Because after that, it's just your knowledge about Medicare. So when they start asking the questions, that's when I just start answering it. And I want to go through and say, okay, Well, here's what you need to know. One, if you're already working and you're going to continue working and you've got group benefits, you may not need to get Part B. As you get closer, we can talk more about that. If you're collecting Social Security already and you turn 65 next May, more than likely your Part A and Part B card is going to come to you automatically. You need to watch for it in the mail. Oh, but you know what? Be careful because it's not going to say Medicare. It's going to come in this little 8.5 by 7 brown envelope that'll say CMS on the outside. You'll have no idea what it is. It's not going to be like a credit card. It's going to be a card that's perforated, and you won't know it. There's actually a Medicare card in there, and you just kind of have a conversation with them. And then, you can get into what Medicare Part A and Part B cover, but that's not the agenda for the phone script. The phone script is to build rapport. And then, as I'm going through and talking, I was like, Jim, what you need to know is the reason why I sent you that postcard 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, 11 months before you turn 65 is because we like to do a lot of education. We want to be your advocate. And there's a few things you need to know about Medicare. When you turn 64 and a half, you are going to get bombarded with phone calls from call centers across the country trying to sell you Medicare over the phone. And what I always tell my clients is you don't want to buy from someone over the phone from a call center out of the state. And this is the reason why. One, being in Michigan, they probably don't have Priority Health. They probably don't have Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. They probably don't have Health Alliance Plan. They probably don't have Physicians Health Plan. Those are our 4 local carriers that get more business than any of the national carriers. They beat out Humana, WellCare, Aetna, United Healthcare, hands down, year after year. So if you're taking a call from a call center, you're not going to get access to all the carriers. And I might not go into it that much into detail, but that's the mindset behind it. Also, you have to know about these call centers is most of these call centers are hourly employees. They get paid. They're there for 3 or 4 months. They learn the product, but they don't know the network. They don't know whether Beaumont's in network. They don't know if Providence in network. They don't know if Bronson's in network. They don't know if McLaren's in network. They could look it all up, but they get paid. They get paid to sell you something as quick as possible. When you work with a local agent, we know all the markets and we are contracted with all the carriers. And I tell them, guys, in my case, I market and represent every single Medicare Advantage carrier that's in Michigan. So that gives me access to 52 Medicare Advantage plans in my county and across the state. On the Medicare supplement side, I've got 15 of the top carriers, and I tell them four of them I sell a lot of. The other 11 I rarely sell, but I have them because I want to give you access to selection. Although there's 4 that have the top benefits in Michigan. But guys, the phone script is very critical because if you buy 50 leads and you don't know what to say and you can't get 3 appointments set up, you're dead in the water. So anyway, I go through, and once I go through and I get to a point where I feel comfortable that I've built enough rapport, you kind of have to listen for that. If they're engaged with you and they've got questions and you're answering those questions, but if they stop asking questions, that's where you have to go for the kill and you have to get the appointment set up. So what I tell them is, like I mentioned earlier, my goal is to educate you because if you wait to 64 and a half, you're going to get bombarded. What I want to do is I want to meet with you virtually or in person to go over your options. And that way, when you are ready, I've built enough rapport with you that you'll choose to work with me to make your selection. And then what I do at that point there is I have my internal agents. I say, look, if you've gotten to that point where you've met with them once and you've gone through and told them that they can talk to 25 agents or they can call the carrier directly, there's no cost to working with me. If you've done a good job and they like you, they'll book another appointment with you. Or they'll say, yeah, give me a call at 3 months out and we'll talk about doing an enrollment. We don't get every single one, but we do get most of them. I would say that my agents, when they meet with the people 7, 8, 9 months out, they're probably writing 90% of the ones that they meet with. Every once in a while, they'll get someone that they call back and they're like, yeah, no, I just called the carrier directly and enrolled. There's not much you can do about that. But again, this is starting to build that funnel of clients down the road. So that's the gist of my phone call and what I do. We get good results from this. Anybody have any questions? Anybody using something similar? Anybody have good results in what they're doing? I'd love to hear what some of you guys are doing. Kevin Cox, you're on here. You've been working with Keith. Do you have a phone script that you guys have developed?
No, we do not. So that's why I joined this, because I wanted to get a little bit of feedback or to see kind of what you had to share. So this will be very helpful. This is kind of what I had in mind as regards to reaching out to the prospects and the initial conversation. So it's very helpful. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. John, in your situation, what has worked for you? And I guess my question is, out of 10 leads that you have, how many appointments are you booking with people?
Not many.
When you call your prospects, also there's a couple tricks that you can try. Well, let me ask you this before I go, John. How many times do you call your leads?
Multiple times. Probably not enough though. But I email, I text message, I send letters. I do just about everything but kick down the door like I have a search warrant.
Yeah. Okay. So here's what I'll tell you. We tried something last year where we had, trying to think, we got a list of people turning 65, and between two of my captive agents, we sent out close to 1,000 letters with, my agent's picture, contact information, the Medicare card. Hey, you're turning 65. Do you guys want to take a guess at how many phone calls we got off of that?
I don't know.
1.
Ah.
So 1,000 letters. So I'm only going to talk about postage. $550. 1 call. Now, if I could send out 1,000 letters a month for $550 and get 1 sale, I just covered the cost of my mailer, but I'm not profitable until year 2. And my philosophy is, as long as I can break even year 1, year 2, it's all profit. So if I have to spend $100,000 this year to make $100,000 in commissions, but then the second year I'm profitable, I make $50,000, I'm okay with that. It's not what you want to do. It's not a good, somebody who needs to spend money to make money today, that's not going to work for you. But what I will tell you is, on those leads that come back, you got to call them 10, 15 times. You got, not all in one day, but you got to call them, let them go to voicemail, hang up, and call right back.
So you don't want to leave a message?
Not the first time. What you want to do is you want to call them, hang up, and call right back. It's gaining popularity. We've been doing that for years. When I was at the Final Expense company, it's been 10 years since I was there. We were trying it back then, and it was working, because what was happening is, someone calls you, you don't recognize the number, it goes to voicemail, but they call right back. It's important. People are catching on, but still sometimes that works. So you call, hang up, call back, and they'll answer the second time because they think it's important. But again, this is important. When they sent the card back in the mail and they're concerned about Medicare, if they've got a few minutes to talk, it is important. Usually you can get a conversation going. A couple other things. Yes.
After you made so many calls to them, do you initialize a door knock?
Absolutely. And so that was where I was going. Is agents don't like door knocks, because guess what? Agents don't like rejection. Every time you call that lead and they don't pick up, it's a little bit of a rejection. I mean, it is what it is. It's part of being a salesperson. You're going to get rejected. But the ultimate rejection is going to someone's house, having them answer the door, and then have them yell at you. John, I think we met through Medicare Gurus, and there was an agent that posted something the other day, how he went out and did X amount of door knocks, got X amount of appointments, but in all of it, he had one lady just yell at him, probably because of COVID-19. Unfortunately, it is what it is, but guess what, guys? You're out there to educate. You're not out there to screw people over. Understand that the information you have is a benefit to those people you're sitting down with. So if you've got a card, and guys, if you could take that physical card to them, knock on the door with your business card and that pink postcard in your hand and say, hey, you know, Katrina, you sent this card back in the mail. I've called you 3 or 4 times, whether it's 3 or 4 or 20. I've called you a few times, left a couple messages, but I see you're turning 65 next May, and there's some things that I really want you to know, because if you don't make a good decision, you could cost yourself thousands down the road. Would you be interested in a phone call? Would you be interested in me sitting down with you and educating you? Because the whole point of a door knock is 3 things. The first goal of a door knock is to get right in at that appointment, sit down with them and do a presentation. The second goal, if you can't get the presentation in, is to get an appointment set with them down the road. Maybe next week, tomorrow, whatever, get an appointment. Could be Zoom, could be face-to-face, but you want that appointment. And the worst case, you already have their phone number, but some leads don't come back with phone numbers, just so you guys know. Sometimes you get a lead with no phone number. So third thing is to get a valid phone number so you can call them to schedule that appointment. One of the things that we did here in-house is we just hired a girl named Maria, who is our marketing coordinator. She's going to be doing some graphic design work. She's going to be, there's going to be a whole lot of things that she's going to be doing. Excited to have her on board. But we want to create a door hanger with, and somehow have the ability to take a photocopy of that business reply card, have it printed on that door hanger, and then go out there with your contact information, and your picture and a copy of that business reply card, knock on the door, leave it in the doorway, say, hey, I stopped by, sorry I missed you, give me a call. But yeah, a door knock, Katrina, is something that is definitely necessary. I have, within our agency, or within our FMO, I have an agent in the Bay City area that gets a list of about 40 people a month that are turning 65. And he has a app on his phone. He plugs those addresses in, and then that app will go through and chart out a path of least mileage, least gas, whatever it is. And that way you can go out and do 30, 40 door knocks in one day. And then from there, he's getting 3 or 4 sales a month off of 35, 40 door knocks. So can you imagine if, and again, those leads, guess how much those cost you? Nothing. I can pull a list of 600 people anytime, give those over to you, and you can start door knocking people, and it doesn't cost you a dime. Cost you gas, cost you time, but it doesn't cost you money for the physical name and address. And so if I was a brand new agent getting into this industry, I would be doing turning 65 leads, and then I would be doing door knocks. I would set it out where I don't know exactly how many I would do, but if I could do 30 door knocks in a day, yeah, I'm pretty sure that 2 days a week, I'm going to do 30 door knocks. So 30, 60, I'm going to do 250 door knocks a month. And guys, if you do that, you are spending money on gas, but you're getting people that are turning 65 sooner. You're going to get your sales. You're going to get your money right away. And it's going to help you build up your book of business. So while if you don't like rejection, you're in the wrong business. And you know, all those motivational sayings, all those motivational plaques, you know, how you got to get out, you know, you got to get out of your comfort zone. Unfortunately, that's exactly what you have to do. If you want to be successful in sales, you've got to get out of your comfort zone, because the only way you're going to start getting referrals is by building up a book of business. If you think that you're going to just put on Facebook or LinkedIn that you're doing Medicare and expect to start selling 10 a month, not going to happen. Right now with my, I don't know, let's say I have 500 clients, I probably get about 35 referrals a year off of that. I mean, I'm not even asking referrals. It's just people know that I do a good job. They're happy with what I'm doing, and I get those referrals. But those referrals come after having a book of business of 500 people. So maybe not quite that many, because I've gotten probably, you know, 80 referrals in the last 2 years. So at some point, the referrals start building up. And that's another thing too, when you're sitting down with somebody, Ask for referrals. Say, hey guys, if you like my services today, here's my business card. Please give that to your family and friends that are turning 65 or that are already on Medicare, and I'll do just as good with them as I did with you. So don't forget to ask for referrals. What I want to do is I want to just quickly show you the business reply card that I use. So this is the mailer that gets us the 3.75% return. It's a generic mailer. Obviously, it's like folded in half. But when they get it and they open it up, here it is, sorry. Is all it is. It's very simple. It just says when you turn 65, you have one open enrollment period. And it catches people's attention, and it works very well. We got that from Target Leads. But on here it says, if you would like to receive free information, return this postage paid card, blah, blah, blah. Yes, also send me information on prescription discounts. Okay, guys, here's something that's critical. I want you all to pay attention because this is fairly new, and I like what's going on. Have you guys all heard of something called Good RX?
Yes.
Yes, I use it.
Perfect. Good. Okay. So GoodRx is something I've been using for the last 8 years that I've been doing health insurance and Medicare. And my clients that use it absolutely love it. How would you like it if every time your client used it, you got paid?
Ready to sign up for it.
Okay. So there's a new company out there, and just guys, listen to me. Email me so I can give you that information, because Adam Simon, I sent you. You should have gotten an email today to join. It's a company called Clever RX. I have an FMO contract with them, and what it is you get this prescription discount card, different than GoodRx, because GoodRx you print off a coupon. Sometimes when you go into the pharmacy and use it, the coupon is not the same price as what they're charging you because things change. Clever RX, you actually get a discount card that they carry with them. Every time your client fills a prescription, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, you get paid $1.25 every single time.
It's not considered credible drug coverage, though, right? They have to have a drug claim.
That is correct. That is not credible drug coverage. However, there are, and I don't know if this is more beneficial on the under 65 than it is on the over 65, but every once in a while when I'm sitting down with my clients, it doesn't matter whether, let's talk about Medicare. If they are on Medicare, sometimes the strategy for them to optimize the cost for prescriptions, they're using their prescription drug plan, either the PDP or the MAPD, but sometimes there's a couple drugs that it makes sense for them to use GoodRx because they're never going to hit the donut hole, so it ends up being cheaper for them. But it's still a great option for people to use. And I've got a number of clients of mine, I mean a lot of clients that are using the GoodRx. So now I'm going to introduce the Clever RX, and you get paid $1.25 every time that your client uses that to picks up a prescription. And it could be that the prescription is $10, could be the prescription is $100, doesn't matter. You get paid $1.25 each time. So this business reply card also, John, if you want to email me, I can send this to you. It's through Target Leads, so it's nothing.
Yeah, I'm familiar with them.
Yeah. So we also just got a new lead vendor that we're working with. I haven't done any mailers yet, so I don't want to talk about them because if they don't have a good return, I don't want my agents using them. But anyway, so that's about all I have for you guys today. Any questions that I can answer for you?
Quick question. So when you give the T65 list, and when do you suggest that the agent go out and start door knocking, like 6 months before they turn 65?
Well, what's going to happen is when they get to be 64 and a half, that's when the call centers start calling on them. So personally, I would probably, as soon as I got the card back in the mail, I'm going to call on them. I've got a couple agents that get leads and they wait a couple weeks, but guess what? They sent the card back in. By the time you get the card in hand, it's already been 2 weeks since they sent it back in the mail. So you want to call on them right away. But I would wait probably until you've got, 6 or 7 phone calls out to them, and then I would start door knocking them with the physical card. But you don't have to. You can start right away. Again, the whole point is to educate them. If you can get them before somebody else does, then it's to your advantage.
Okay.
Hey, Sonny.
Yeah, Ray, how you doing?
They always say not everything works all the time, and some things work all the time, or part of the time. So as far as getting the calling or texting, people don't answer 5, 6 times. I've texted a copy of the lead to people, and I might get a call or two back from that. I've mailed things out, might get a call. The door knocking, I actually had this thing that looks like you missed a package delivery. It pretty much says, sorry, we missed you, blah, blah, blah. And when I went to Saginaw last year on those United Healthcare leads, I put those out, and I ended up selling, I got a couple, and I sold a couple from putting those stickers out. People called me back, and it looks like they missed their package, and they call you back. And that's all you want to do, is have them call you, and then once the door's open, then you got to take it from there. But yeah,
Right.
those work those work great.
Those were sticky notes. Did you create them, or is that through one of your life?
No, I got that through the other company I work with.
All right. So if you could take a picture and just send it to me, I'll look into see if we can get some of those ordered. Can we put United States Postal Service down there and or UPS?
I wouldn't do that. I would
I'm kidding.
Oh, I would just put down, you missed your package. And now on the blank spot, you can write whatever you want. I mean, your Medicare package, your whatever you want to write, because I put their name on there so they know it's legitimate. I put my name on there and phone number, and there's a blank. What did they miss? You missed your Medicare package delivery or something. They'll call you.
Okay. Yeah, like Ray said, I like what you said. Some of things, would you say some of things work all the time and some things don't? I don't know.
Not everything. Yeah. Not everything works all the time, but everything works some of the time.
Exactly. So that is very true. One of the things that I personally, I probably wouldn't send out letters to just people turning 65, but I would be apt to sending out something to people that are turning 65 that sent back a postcard in the mail. So because, if you got 20 leads, you're sending out 20, and then on that letter, I would have a smaller version of the reply card they sent back in the mail.
I sent a copy of their handwritten one back to them.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So they see that, they filled this out. That's why I'm contacting.
Yeah. And that's why door knocking is so successful, is because you're actually, you're taking the card that they sent back in. So once you show it to them, they can't deny to your face that, oh yeah, that's my handwriting. So over the phone, everybody's like, what do they say? I'm sorry, over the phone, over the internet, you got the keyboard warriors. They'll say anything they want because they're hiding behind their screen. Well, you see them face to face, they're going to admit that, yeah, that's my wife's handwriting. We sent that, yeah. So anyway. All right, guys, any other questions? I hope this was useful to you guys. John, my email, I'm not sure if we've emailed back and forth. It's just Sonny, SONNY, at 4tbrokerage.com. And I think I should have your email from the registration. I can always send you something. But any of you guys that are interested in the Clever RX, send me an email. If you want the phone script and the business reply card today, send me an email. I'll get that over to you guys. Sandy should have called some of you guys about, we are doing, for our agents, we are sending out some mailers by Wednesday. We are doing, so there's a couple things going on. We're doing an order for leads. I think we're sending out about 13,000 mailers because we've got an order for maybe, I think, about 250 leads. So 13,000 pieces should get those leads back in. And again, remember, you're only paying for the leads that you get. If I spend $500 on leads and I can only recoup $3,000, I'd rather lose the money than you guys lose the money. But due to, HAP is looking to expand in their D-SNP market. So we're going to do between 30 and 60,000 piece mail drop for HAP. So we got a lot of stuff going on out there. Reach out to us with any questions. Thanks for joining me today. I'll wait around for about 3 or 4 more minutes. If there's any questions, feel free to holler. If not, have a wonderful day, guys and gals.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, everyone.
Honey,
Yes.
are you going to do more education on D-SNPs? Because that seems like that's everybody says they're doing it, but I really don't know what I'm doing with it. Does that make
Oh,
sense?
so yes, it does. So what I can do is I can reach out to Yvette. Yvette Rodney does our training with DSNP, so I can have her do like an hour training talking about how to look up LIS, how to look up Medicare, Medicaid. Here's my goal is because DSNP is very complicated, and I quite honestly understand about 20% of what I need to know with DSNP. I'm not real confident in selling it personally, but I am hoping that we have an awesome AEP, and that I'm hoping that with our revenue that we bring in, that I'll be able to hire somebody that is very knowledgeable in DSNP space, so I can pay them a salary to be on staff to do training throughout the year, to help set up events, to help agents get plugged into that market, because there are over 225,000 Medicare and Medicaid beneficiaries in the state of Michigan, and there is less than 8% market penetration. So huge opportunity, but you do have to know that if you're working in the DSNP space, it requires a lot of customer service, because DSNP, these agents, not agents, but because they have a quarterly enrollment period, agents go in front of them, dangle the next shiny object in front of them, and will often be able to steal your client because of the they're selling the dental benefit, or they're selling the over-the-counter benefit. If I was selling DSNP, I would be selling the network of doctors with HAP and Priority Health, because they're going to beat WellCare, United Healthcare, and Humana hands down.
Hey, Sonny.
Yes.
Hey, it's Adam. On that note, too, just so everybody knows, when you're working with DSNPs, you're also competing. I found out last year, or even this year, you're also competing with when people call in to Medicaid and they call in to Social Security, mainly the Medicaid office. I've had Medicaid offices tell people not to go with like a Humana plan or whatever, and try to keep them off of MAPD or DSNPs. So you're not only competing with other agents, you have Medicaid telling people, giving people like totally wrong advice. Like this, the client that told me what Medicaid told them, I mean, she made up her mind already. She absolutely made up her mind. As good as we were together and all that stuff, she listened to this Medicaid person because they're quote unquote the experts. And I said, I can promise you, she misinformed you, and this is why. And I gave her all the answers, and she's like, yeah. She's like, I think I'm just going to stay with it, and I couldn't do anything. As hard as I tried. So those things are out there too. So there's a lot more against you in the DSNP market, but you just have to be persistent. You really have to, like Sonny said perfectly. The person who trained me and did DSNPs, he's not with our agency anymore, but he told me, he said, if you're willing to work and you're their agent throughout the year and you take care of their every little need, you'll have them for life, because you're their guy. They don't even call the company, they call you. So, or their gal or whatever. So sorry, I didn't mean to go off on that, but there's just a lot more service based involved than just having a regular, client out there.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, Adam. Any other questions, any other comments, anything you want to add in?
Oh, I'm done.
Yep, I'm good. Thanks, Sonny.
Thanks, Sonny.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Glad you could make it. Take care, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and close out the webinar.
All righty.
All right. Take care, Katrina.
Bye-bye.